modded thing. Right, welcome back guys. As usual, deadline's the 13th of the month. Send everything to showmethemodedthing@gmail.com, and off we go with one from William T. And this is what he calls his Mark 111, which is a Dart Zone Mark 3, I believe. Very nice paint job. I love the blue. Really well done. So it's pretty stock by the looks of it, the original, but he's done a really nice paint job and weathering and picking it out really, really well. This is a classic case of just paint doing all the work. It's just a straight cosmetics job. He says internally it's running on 3S with Daybreak cages, flywheels and Kraken, stock pusher motor because I really like the rate of fire, and all the out of darts goodies on the internal. The paint is acrylic and done with a brush with multiple layers, and there's some highlights, which I'm assuming he means the silver wear and tear on it, possibly some light blue there too. He's done a really nice, clean, straightforward paint job, and just shows how well these things can look when you just take your time and a bit of care. I'm really impressed, really impressed. I've got to get one of these one day. They look like a really, really good blaster from what I can see online. So, well done, mate, well done. Moving on. Okay, here's another regular contributor. This is Vincent D, and he's got a knockoff ECS 10. I never knew there was such a thing, but apparently there is. So what he's done, he says, I gave it a new cage, Daybreak, set up full rewire, added a voltmeter and a kill switch. I'll change the buttstock to an AK one when I find one in my bin. Yeah, haven't we all been there? I had to shave and cut a hole for the flywheels. This blaster is smaller than the Nerf ECS. Oh, okay. And made a cover for said hole. Blaster is 3S with Valkyries. So it looks quite nice. I wonder where he got it from. Obviously Chinese, and looks like he's got a few 3D printed extra parts there. But the buttstock actually looks very Rapid Strike, doesn't it? I wonder if it works the same as the Rapid Strike and is retractable. And you can see the voltmeter there on top. I'm pretty impressed. It looks very, very nice. It'll look wonderful painted up, you know, in my sort of style or any realistic sort of style. But, you know, you're going to use it for a game. You've got to keep it safe. You've got to keep it orange and bright so you don't get in a lot of trouble in a lot of different ways. Well done, Vincent. Well done. Looking forward to the next one. Right, here's one from Sebastian S. And he says he sent a lot, but some of them didn't come through for some reason. I'm not sure what's going on there. But this one is a zombie strike, which he's done up in a very nice, neat, straightforward paint design. He says he works as in the video games industry as a weapons artist. And it shows. This is straightforward. It looks like it's what it's supposed to be. There's just enough marks on the wooden handle so you know it's wood. You can see a bit of the grain. The rusting is really nice and is very effective. Shows off the crevices and the shadows in it. And it's just a straightforward, simple blaster build. And I'm looking forward to the rest when he sends them. Very nice work. Right, next up is that old sheepdog of nerfing, Nerf Herder. And this one is a rough cut he's painted up, and he's taken the care to focus on the body to make it look like wood. So what he's done is painted all the metal parts in enamels and inks and done the shading and everything, and then masked them off. And then he's gouged the plastic wood with a rasp and base coated with matte white acrylic. Then he started to smear burnt umber acrylic in very thin layers, letting it mimic wood grain, different densities, I'm assuming. Then heavily inked the wood effect with nut brown ink. Gloss varnished all the wood effect, then I stripped off the masking on the metal. Then as an addition he mounted a little ruby made out of milliput in the handle. And it does look he says it's inspired by, like a pirate swashbuckling weapon. I've always thought the rough cut was the perfect weapon for a bad guy. Two of them mounted on his back that he just pulls over his shoulder. This is really well done. And the second photo I've got a close-up of the wood grain, so you can see how well it's done and how it looks. It's really, really effective. I'm very impressed, very impressed. Next up we have one from our German friend Marcus K. Nerf Ranger from the Elite 2.0 range, and if there were ever a misnamed range, that was probably it. Not many people like them. Things like the Warden and A few others have caused a few problems around the place. Sort of a step backward for Nerf, as far as I know, but he's made this look good, and knowing his work, he's probably making it work good as well. And he's got it, as he says, as tactical as possible. Added a spring spacer and O-ring and installed some LEDs just for fun. Brassed all the barrels for better performance. Externally, it has a new angled pump grip mounted on an adapter. The stock has storage for batteries, which is always a good thing. And added a front top rail and some slim sights. So just a very straightforward, simple mod. And it looks really, really good. And it probably performs a lot better than any stock Ranger. And he's done a very nice job. Love the colouring of it. Again, the orange and blue, you know, safety standards, all that sort of thing. Really nicely done, mate. Right, guys, here we have some from Jerrico Digital Arts. I've had to abbreviate his name because it wouldn't fit across the screen because there's so much to see. These are some Star Wars inspired blasters he's done, intended for cosplay and photo shoots, and apparently a film he's done, which I'll have a link to down below. The Fang QS Dremel off the 3 barrels, leaving the top barrel intact so it looks like a power cell layout, like a DL44. The side strike is has a homemade plastic scope glued on using simple plastic water pipe and connectors. The Hot Shot, which is appears to be his favourite because he wrote the most about it, is for a Queen in one of his movies. And it has a scope from a lanyard huntsman rifle built from plastic L-shaped strips from a hardware store. Okay. And finally, the Raptor Strike pistol turned into a main villain's personal sidearm. And it looks it. I mean, honestly, the Raptor Strike, there's not much you can do with it. A single-shot pistol is pretty ridiculous. But these things are really nicely done. And he has a weathering system he does where he, instead of using, he said he uses a big brush to blob on paint and blow dry it instead of streaking with a rag. So I'm going to have a look into that and do some experiments. But these things are really, really nicely done. They're very simple and straightforward. And the thing a lot of people forget about props, especially for movies, is they make them too detailed. They're not going to be on screen for that long. You're just going to get barely a glimpse of them. And if you find your prop is a major part of the movie, you're doing the movie wrong. But these things are really nice and effective. Very well done, very identifiable as part of the Star Wars universe. I particularly like the Henchman's Blaster, very nice and blocky and square. And it's just a fire strike body by the looks of it. I've got lots of fire strikes, I'm going to have to try one of these. Yeah, well done, mate. Next up, we've got an absolute beast, and I really mean this. This is from Francois B. He said when he saw the Mega XL boom dozer, he was sure there was something cool to do with it. Okay, cool's not the word I would use, sort of scary and frightening, but first he covered all the holes in the logos with some EVA foam. I'm really impressed with the texture he got in it. When you see it later, it's painted. It has like a dimpled texture, like beaten metal. That looks really, really good. There we go. Whacked a skull or two on it and some rivets. Really well done the way he's laid everything on together. And then he gave it a coat of white paint. And I don't know if he had this planned at the beginning, but then he had somebody said he had a Barbarossa skull with a wide mouth enough to fit the barrel inside. So he thought, why not? I mean, when I first saw the images, I thought it was like an Orc weapon from 40k. But there's no mention of that. And then the painting. And the painting, again, has brought it to life. It's just beautiful the way he's picked it out, and the rust and the bend and all the little highlights on the rivets and so on and so forth. And then adding an axe head as a stock is just a brilliant touch. It's just so impressive. The colour of this thing, especially the way he shaded the skull, is also brilliant. And you can see there's a rope hanging down from the mouth, which I assume you need to pull down to open it so you can fire it. It is just so cool on so many levels. And yeah, it's a monster. It really is. Very, very nice work. I am so impressed. Well done. Right, next up we've got one from Jerrico D. Now, unfortunately, I've lost the email that came with this. I have no idea of any of the build details. It's obviously a retaliator. And we have an internal look at it, and it doesn't actually look like much has been changed at all. But then he starts doing his upgrade, and it looks like he's going for a cosplay model, because I hope he keeps this in his house, on his backyard, or on his remote farm, because this thing will get you killed in the wrong circumstances. It's a really nice upgrade, don't get me wrong, I love it. And the final image of the blaster assembled looked absolutely great, but it also looks absolutely frighteningly real. So really nice work, mate, but, you know, keep it under wraps. And if you want to email me with updated details, I'll feature this again and we can get some idea of what's going on. Thanks. Right, next up we have one from Coffin Black Media. This is a rival takedown. The builder says he had no idea or inspiration when I started the project. I felt it was though I was just stumbling along getting everything wrong. So he was using my work methodology there, until I ended up with something whose coloration vaguely reminded me of a shark. And being a 70s kid, oh, he's that old. The first shark that leapt to mind was the mechanical one they used in Jaws, which was named Bruce. So this is Bruce. It has a K25 spring from out of darts. It averages 135. 2 upgraded spring catches, upgraded trigger spring, padded plunger head, lubed in key spots with silicone oil, paint, Rust-Oleum 2X and apple barrel acrylics. And it looks very, very nice. I like the weather in particular, the rust in the crevices and so on and so forth. Yes, I think I featured one of these in a previous movie. He's doing a series of them, so look forward to them in future. And also, like a lot of other people, he tends to send groups of photos of different blasters. I'll only feature one per movie, and the next ones will be kept for later movies, just to keep, so I've got enough content. Very nice work done there. Last up today is one by Andrew Kay, and it's an Ultra 2 Red that he says he's improved by removing all the original internals. And let's face it, you couldn't make it any worse by removing all the original internals. And he's put an old Fusion Designs Quick inside, which I believe is a 3D printed pistol. So this thing is now a magazine-fed 3S blaster that flies exclusively short darts at a ridiculously fast rate. He's also included a built-in laser targeting beam that can be disconnected via the battery door. He says he does have plans for the internal of the Ultra 2. I'm thinking a large heavy object on the end of a lever, fire, landfill, some kind of corrosive acid. But he said his ideas are somewhat predatory. So I'm looking forward to that with a great deal of interest, even more fear and quite a bit of apprehension. Nice one, Andrew.
Shut up and sit down.